There's no camera.
Yeah, just turn black.
It's just black. Yeah. There's no camera. Do you see my face?
Yeah, just turn black.
It's just black. Should I go live instead? There's no camera. Do you see my face?
Yeah, just turn black.
It's just black. There's no camera. Do you see my face? There's no camera. Do you see my face?
Stop streaming.
There's no camera. On screen? It's so weird. Yeah, good. Great. Okay.
It's only like part of the screen. Like that's a full screen. I don't know why it's not showing the whole.
Strange.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm doing it now. Is that better? Yeah, nice to meet you. Bye. Careful. Hello, and thank you everyone for joining. We'll just take a couple more minutes to see if anyone else wants to join before we get started with the session. So I can just ask you to hang on a couple more minutes and then we'll dive in. Thank you. So I think we're just about to get started. So hello to everyone and welcome to this Ask Me Anything session. So my name is Daniela Valencia. I'm a program officer here in the Strategic Granting Initiatives at the Canada Council for the Arts. And I'm going to be hosting this session alongside my colleague Marc.
Hello, my name is Marc Fornel. I'm also a program officer for the Strategic Granting Initiative, and I'm really glad to be with you since it's our first public presentation for those initiatives.
Thanks, Marc. Yes, we're very excited. So also with us today, working behind the scenes, is our colleague Sanya Layashkevich. So Sanya is our Senior Administrative Assistant. Well, today we're going to kick off with a short overview of the digital generator and the digital greenhouse before moving into the questions and answer period. So our focus will be on helping you understand the main elements of the new initiatives. So we won't be answering questions about specific project applications here or going into the details of the assessment criteria. This is information that's actually readily available in the preview guidelines on the web pages for both initiatives. And the links to both of those pages will be shared later on in the presentation in case you don't already have them handy. To limit distractions, we're also going to be turning off your microphone and camera, so we just ask you to keep them off for the time being.
Okay, and I've got a comment on the chat by Melinda saying that she can't hear anything. So I just wonder if everybody can hear. Melinda, if you don't hear anything, I would suggest you quit and you rejoin us. That's the best way to do it. Okay, thank you, Victoria. You say that you can hear fine. Okay, that's great.
That's reassuring.
Perfect, thank you. So, Melinda, yeah, just leave and come back, please. Perfect. Thank you for all. It's great. So, okay. So before we start the presentation, we would like to acknowledge that the land on which our office are located is the unceded, unsurrendered territory of the Anishinaabe Algonquin Nation, whose presence here reached back to the time immemorial. The Canada Council for the Arts recognized the Algonquin as the customary keeper and defender of the Ottawa River watershed and its tributary. We honor their long history of welcoming many nations to this beautiful territory and uphold and uplift the voice and value of our host nation. Further, the Council respects and affirms the inherent and treaty rights of all Indigenous people across this land. The Council has and will continue to honor the commitments to self-determination and sovereignty we have made to Indigenous nations and people. The Council acknowledges the historical oppression of lands, culture, and the original people in what we know as Canada, and fervently believe the arts contribute to the healing and decolonizing journey we all share together. So thank you for this moment. Now to you, Daniela.
Thank you very much, Nak, for the land acknowledgement. So thank you as well to everyone for being with us today. We're really pleased to have over 100 participants joining us from across the country to learn all about the digital generator and the digital greenhouse, two initiatives we're really excited about. So these two initiatives are part of the Council's commitment to supporting digital transformation of the arts sector in Canada, which was reflected in our last strategic plan that has now concluded and will continue with the new strategic plan, 2021 to 2026. The innovation strategy that is at the heart of our new strategic plan supports targeted digital capacity building, which builds on the successes of the former Digital Strategy Fund. So, our goal for today is to help you better understand these two new elements of the Council's innovation strategy. As I mentioned a little bit earlier, we will start with a short overview of the digital generator and the digital greenhouse, and after that, we'll respond to any questions you might have. So please try to ask general questions that other attendees can learn and benefit from. And if you have a specific question about a particular project, please contact us directly using the emails that will be provided at the end of the introduction.
Thank you, Daniela. Before I jump into some technical information, I see in the chat that there's some people that are saying, like, I don't hear anything. It happened a little bit before for another guest. So, I would say, like, check your setting for the sound on your computer. Make sure that you have sound on. And if that doesn't fix it, we really try to leave the meeting, the session, and come back. And hopefully it will fix things. So let's go into more technical information. So using the chat section, you can submit your question at any time during this session. And to use the chat, I saw that most of you know how to use the chat on Teams. That's great, but I'm going to say it anyway. You have to hover the upper screen and click on the chat button. The chat button is just like presented here, the first little illustration there. So the chat window will open on the right side of your screen, and then you have to type your question in a message box at the bottom and simply click the arrow to publish your question. If you prefer to ask your question aloud, simply raise your hand by clicking on the hand button beside the chat button. And please wait for either Daniela or I to call on you before unmuting your microphone. We will only ask you to unmute your microphone, not necessarily your camera. So, and to raise your hand is just like the little icon there with the hand and the face. It's the third illustration. So also you will notice 2 arrows below the slide of this presentation. I would suggest you don't click on it, since if you do, you will not be synchronized with the presentation and the slide will not change automatically when we control it. So it's almost like presenting you with a red button and that is saying push and ask you not to push it, but please do that and you will be able to follow with us. So we will do our best to answer all questions, but depending on the nature, the number, and the time we have, we might not be able to cover them all. I hope you understand. So before we start the Q&A session, we would like to propose you a short survey that presents only 3 multi-choice questions. The survey is anonymous, and it will help us to know how many attendees are interested to apply in the next few months and to which initiative. It will also give us a better idea of who is attending right now, individuals or organizations. So please take a moment to answer the question when they are presented on the screen. You simply have to check the box directly, either on the main screen or in the chat where they're going to be presented as well. So Sanya, if you could pose the survey, that would be great. And you can take some time right away, right now, to answer those questions.
Okay.
And this survey, I mean, you can answer either directly on the screen or in the chat. And also, if you want to go back to the survey later on, when the introduction of those 2 initiatives will start, I suggest you go in the chat. But take the time right now to answer. Great. Now the second question, referring to are you intending to apply and
Yeah. Do you intend to apply to at least one of these initiatives in the next 3 months?
And the third question, if yes, for which one? The digital generator, digital greenhouse, or both? Because yes, you can apply to both at the same time, but we'll see that later on. Okay, great. So I think we can start the introduction.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you, Mark, and thank you, Sanya, and thank you to all of the participants who are responding to these short surveys. It'll be really helpful for us to have that information.
Okay. So, Daniela, Anastasia mentioned that some of us haven't been able to see the survey for some reason. Okay.
Okay.
We will repost it at one point. Sanya will repost it during the presentation, so hopefully you will be able then to see it. Thanks for that, Anastasia.
Yeah, thanks for letting us know. Sanya will help us out and put it through again, and hopefully you'll have better luck on the second one. Thank you. Okay, so let's jump into the digital generator. So what is the digital generator? A digital generator is a program that's offered to artistic groups and organizations to build their digital capacity and transform their business model and operations. The program is not for individual artists, arts professionals, or cultural connectors.
Yeah, and the digital generator proposed 2 streams. So let's look at the first one. So stream 1 is basically to hire an external expert to help you benefit from the possibility the digital world offers. So you can hire an expert of your choice, of course, to conduct a digital need assessment, or to do a technical audit, or to develop a digital strategic plan as such. For example, you could propose to develop a discoverability plan, produce a digital accessibility audit plan to make sure that the web content and other resources you propose online are accessible to everybody. Or you could also propose to increase the digital skills of your staff through workshop or specific training session. Stream 1 allow you to request up to $40,000, and the grant request can cover up to 100% of the eligible cost of your project. There is no deadline for Stream 1. You simply apply when you're ready, as long as it is before the start date of your project. So back to you, Daniela, for Stream 2.
Thank you. So Stream 2 is essentially to support your organization in implementing the recommendations that you received from external experts. So these could be recommendations you received through Stream 1, or they could be recommendations from previous work that you undertook with a consultant or an expert. The main point being there that is an external expert, an external service provider. To be eligible for Stream 2, you must provide a copy of these recommendations. So you could propose projects that focus on, for example, these are just a couple examples, data analytics and business intelligence. It could be about developing new ways of working that increase your capacity to support digital creation and programming, or e-commerce and digital distribution solutions, among others. You can apply to Stream 2 either for the benefit of your own organization or for the benefit of multiple groups or organizations. In terms of the Stream 2 granting amount, for applications that benefit single organizations, you can receive up to $50,000. And on the other side, you can receive up to $100,000 for collaborative projects that develop shared resources that benefit more than one group or organization. And the grants requested can cover up to 100% of the total eligible costs. Like Mac mentioned in Stream 1, you can apply for either of the two streams in the Canada Council portal at any time, as long as it's before the start date of your project.
Okay, now the digital greenhouse. This initiative is a supporting project that leverage digital technology to address sectorial challenges. This initiative is open to individual, group, collective, and organization. And yes, there's a lot of information on this slide here. I saw that there was a question if we can share these slides. Yes, we could share these slides. I'm going to answer those questions later on after this short presentation. So, unlike the digital generator, this is not specifically about capacity building, and it's not solely about your own needs or the needs of your organization. It is really about exploring digital projects with impact beyond your organization or artistic practice if you are an individual applying. The digital greenhouse will support a range of projects and activity from research and planning to implementation and testing of solutions. For example, you could propose the development of collaboration and new ways of working with others, that they are individuals or organizations. You could also propose the development of digital tools and application to ease your activity, or you could also propose to hold conference, symposia, workshop, webinar for the benefit of the Canadian arts community. Here you can request up to $50,000, and like the digital generator, the grant can cover up to 100% of the eligible cost of your project. Again, here there is no deadline for the digital greenhouse. You simply apply when you're ready, as long as it's before the start date of your project.
Perfect. So if you're interested in learning more about either of the two initiatives, apart from the session, of course, and the answers and questions that we go through, we encourage you to visit the web pages that we have for both of the initiatives, where you can also find the preview guidelines, as I mentioned earlier, and other resources. And we'll continue to add as well to those web pages as the initiatives go on, so you'll have access to plenty of useful information there. Just click directly on the URL that you see here on your screen, if you don't already have the link. And for the question and answer period that is about to start, if you have any specific questions concerning a project that you would like to submit, please send us an email with a brief description of your project and your question to one of the two email addresses that you will see pop up here in the chat shortly. And also, please don't forget to answer our short survey before the end of the Q&A period. But I think most of those who have seen it have, but the link will be posted again in the chat, as Mac mentioned earlier.
Yeah, so Sanya, if you could post the the email address, the 2 email address, that would be great, and also the 3 survey question. So again, before we start, I just want to I would like to take a moment to present a toolkit to help you get started on your digital transformation. You can find the link and those toolkits on the web page of the digital generator, but we just want to focus your attention on this because that can be helpful for many of you. So the first toolkit is a toolkit for digital maturity assessment tools. That's really to determine your digital strength and opportunity. The second one is a digital need assessment tool. So it's to set digital goals for your organization. Basically, it gives you some guidance into how do you assess your digital needs, that you are an individual or in an organization. The third one is the digital strategy tool. So it's to how to build a digital strategy tool for your organization. So we propose some question, some way to develop this strategy, this digital strategy with your external expert. And that leads us to how, the last one, which is how to choose a service provider, like that is a consultant that will help you develop a digital strategy, or need assessment, or any other research. So these are like pointing some question you should ask yourself and also ask the service provider. So now, before we start, I see that I'm not so sure if Sanya could post the. Did she post it? I'm sorry, because there's a lot of activity in the chat.
She posted the email, so we have that. Everything else looks okay.
Sorry, because when I present, it's hard for me to look at the chat at the same time. So we're gonna start to answer your question. As I mentioned, there's a lot of questions, and we might not be able to answer them all, but please let them continue to ask some questions in the chat. So maybe Daniela, you can start with the first one.
Yeah, so let's dive in. I see we have a lot of good questions up here. So I think regarding the slides, Matt has noted that point about the slides. When will we actually be able to share these slides though, Matt? I'm not entirely sure that they're going to be available right away.
Exactly. So if you want to have a copy of these slides, we will invite you to send us an email, and also when you send us an email to one or the other email address, please mention that you were in this session, and we'll gladly share those slides with you.
Yeah. Okay, thanks. So the first question from Jennifer that we're going to answer is, how did you come up with the 40,000? Did you find that that was the cost most of the time for folks seeking to work with consultants?
Yeah, exactly. That's it, Jennifer. Bingo. What we did actually is that we based what we received with the digital strategy fund. We had not exactly the same, but we had a similar possibility with the digital strategy fund. People could ask to work with an external expert. And more or less, this is kind of not even the median one, because sometimes people were asking less, but that's the number we come up with. And I think that will give you possibility to hire the expert of your choice. Yeah.
Just to add maybe, Matt, on that one. So just to clarify for others and make sure that everyone is following along. So Jennifer's question was pertaining to stream 1 of the digital generator, where we have the $40,000 grant amount that's available for external provider, essentially. So that pertains to digital generator stream 1 specifically. Thanks, Matt, for your response. Do you want to?
Okay, next question. It's would a PASO be eligible for $100? I guess you wanted to say a NASO. I think I'm going to take a NASO. So National Art Service Organization, and for 100,000. Yes, you would, if you demonstrate that this will serve not only your organization as a NASO, but others. Okay, so of course you have also member, but since you cover a really large community, we would accept that. But of course, it's got to be justified in your application. and also go beyond your own needs, etc., etc.
Exactly. So the 100,000 is really for collaborative projects that benefit multiple groups or organizations. That's the kind of defining characteristic, let's say, of stream 2 that makes you eligible for up to the 100,000 as opposed to the 50,000. That is in cases where projects benefit only your individual organization.
Want to take the next one, Daniela?
Sure. So we have a guest, start revealing their identity, who's asking, great, Canada Council for the Arts decided that up to 100% can be covered. Will there be an advantage given to proposals that go in at less than 100%, or making admin or others apparent? That's a good question. I'm actually not quite sure about that one. I'm going to defer to Marc for this question.
Yeah, there would not be any advantage to go less than 100%. Really, you can ask the full 100% to cover all the eligible costs clearly, no problem with that. Doesn't make any difference on our side. It's really, you really have to go with the needs and also the input that you can put in your project itself, clearly. And this is also coming up from the experience we have with digital transformation and needs. Like sometimes this is an extraordinary project you want to start and do and deploy. So we understand that you need sometimes 100% support. So next one. Okay, so next one is from Anju. Hello, Anju. I recognize some of the names that are present now. It's nice to see that you're there. I'm not clear on the difference between stream 1 and stream 2 exactly. And also, I'm going to answer that. I'm going to answer the first one. So the difference between stream 1 and stream 2 is that stream 1 basically is just there for you to hire an external expert to help you develop a plan or to help you do some research on your digital needs or those kind of things. Stream 2, you have to produce this plan or a plan, not necessarily a plan that was developed during stream 1, but a plan that was developed with the help of an external expert that came in with work with you to develop a plan and to implement it. So it's really different. So it's so those are building blocks almost, stream 1 is one block and stream 2 is another block that goes over stream 1. So this is what it is. And you absolutely have to submit and provide actually the plan that you develop with the help of external experts to apply to stream 2. If you don't have that, you will not be eligible.
And just to the second part of the question, maybe about whether they're basically two separate programs. So they're both streams, two streams under one initiative. So while, like Marc mentioned, and I think we kind of wanted to be clear about that as well throughout the presentation, is there isn't anything stopping an applicant from potentially applying for stream 1 first to understand what's going on with the organization, to conduct a needs assessment, a technical audit, etc., to understand where they are digitally speaking, and then going on to the stream 2 of Digital Generator and actually using that grant to implement what came out of stream 1. So they're interlinked, so to speak, but they are separate. But it doesn't mean that an applicant can't first apply for one and then the other, if that helps to clarify a little bit.
Okay, you want to take the second one, the next one?
Sure. So then we have a question, and I think it's really, I've seen this come up twice about definitions. Catherine Pedersen asks us if we can please define cultural connector. And then just for the sake of time, there was another question also about another definition of a particular applicant profile. So I'm wondering, Marc, for the sake of time, I have the reference, is it worth me reading it, or should I just share in the chat perhaps for others to be able to refer to the document?
Yeah, I think you should share the document, no problem. It's an official document from the Canada Council. I mean, cultural connector is a type of profile recognized by the Canada Council. And that brings me to the fact that, of course, to apply to any of those two initiatives, you have to have a validated profile on our portal. So if you don't have a profile yet, I would strongly invite you to request a profile. So for that, it's you just have to go on our site, and then you go on the portal, and then you start to request an account, and by doing so, you will be asked to request also a profile, depending on the activity you're doing, etc., etc. And then you will have all the description of the profile. And on top of that, Daniela, wow, that's this. Daniela will post it on the chat.
Yeah.
So Sanya is asking, can a profit organization apply to digital generator? Well, I mean, I kind of answered this question previously, saying that you got to have a profile on our portal. So, and for that, you've got to request a profile, and the profile have to be validated. So that's answered the question. And generally talking, profit organization are not necessarily eligible for the program at Canada Council. It all depends on your structure. So I would advise you to request a profile.
So if anyone is not able to open that link I shared for the profiles, let me know. And otherwise, we'll ask Sonia to just pop in the link. But I've shared it, but it's a PDF document. So I just want to make sure that people are able to access it and open it okay. On my side, it does, but I downloaded it, so.
And I see that Sun, I think, they have their hands up. So I will. Sorry, because there's so many people here.
Yep.
So Sun, I will allow your mic, so you can unmute your mic if you want and ask your question. Not so sure. The hands was put down. So, but now it's Melinda. No. Okay, this.
Otherwise, pop in the chat if anyone.
Okay, wait a minute. Okay, so Melinda Hunt requested to ask a question. So you should be able to unmute your mic now. To do that, you just have to go up.
You have to, I think, unmute them, Mark, on this one.
Seems to have some. Sanya, can you unmute them? Because it seems I cannot really unmute them. Okay. We have a little technical problem here because normally I should be able to unmute them, and then you should be able to talk, but it doesn't look like I can. Don't know if you have more chance, Daniela or Sanya, but
I am not able to unmute.
Very sorry about that. We'll try to fix that the next time.
But please do feel free to enter your question in the meantime in the chat, and we'll try to come back and see if we're able to troubleshoot that towards the end of the session. Maybe we can continue in the meantime with another question and pop back. Okay, so if I'm getting the next question, what I've done. Okay, so I'm just trying to pop back in after cultural carriers. So so about cultural carriers and cultural connectors, those two are part of the definitions that are included in the applicant profile document that the Canada Council of the Arts has. I'll just ask Sonia to put the link in possibly, or Chris, our colleague, so that you can refer to that. And then we have a question from Candice Friesen regarding the greenhouse. So Candice asks, can you clarify what is meant by to address broader sectorial digital needs and opportunities for artists? I've read the webpage thoroughly and I still don't quite understand how I can use this grant as an artist, i.e. tangible possibilities.
Okay. You want me to jump in, Daniela?
I don't mind giving it a shot.
Okay. Go ahead.
Well, so what do we mean by broader sectoral digital needs and opportunities? So just to differentiate the greenhouse from the generator and helping me explain this, because the digital generator is about you and your organization, this helps me understand. Digital greenhouse is really about addressing broader issues that are both digital and sectoral. So problems, challenges that are affecting your sector and the art sector as a whole that are also digital. So that's how we kind of understand it. in terms of addressing those needs and opportunities. We can have maybe Mac throw in a couple examples to illustrate, but that's kind of how I understand the difference between generator and greenhouse, and how greenhouse really tackles larger issues beyond your own organization's issues and opportunities.
Yeah, well, you well responded, Daniel. Actually, you know, as for an individual, if you apply to greenhouse, you have to apply for a project that will serve a larger need than your own, basically. You know, like for example, if you want to develop a website to show only your own work, etc., that would not be necessarily eligible. But if you want to build a website for a community of artists, for which you will benefit as well, you know, where they could show their work or even do e-commerce, then that would be go beyond your own needs, if you follow me.
Absolutely.
That's it. And for the question, Daniela, I'm not so sure where we are because we were at Sanya, and then there's other question after, like Camille. Zoe asked, will the info session be recorded for future reference? Actually, no, Camille, it's not going to be recorded because this will ask us to ask everybody if we can record, etc., etc. So it complexify all the process. So we decided not to record it. That being said, we are working presently on some video, things like that, almost vlog and like information and resource that you will be able to access in the future.
Just keep checking back on our website, the 2 web pages that we have for generator and greenhouse, and we're going to do our best to keep those updated and really rich with information and resources. So that's the best place to go.
Exactly. Alison they're asking stream 2. Can you clarify what you mean by the capacity for digital creation and production?
Right. So just to take it back one step, just to recap again. So stream 2 is about implementing the recommendations that have come out of an external assessment. So what we mean by capacity for digital creation is any support that your organization requires, or any adjustment digitally that you need in order to run your business, essentially. So we don't support digital creation in itself. That's something that's excluded from stream 2. But if you need certain adjustments or certain changes to your business model or to your operations in order to help you thrive in the digital world, then that's going to help you increase your capacity for digital creation and production as a business. So that's kind of what we mean by that.
Yep. Thank you, Daniela. Also, Brenda, actually Catherine asked, can you please define cultural connector? I think we answered that. Brenda asked, can one organization apply to both stream 1 and 2 for different projects? Actually, for a digital generator, you can only apply twice a year, from 1st of March to the 28th or 29th of February. So, and you can only apply once you have received the result of the previous application. So technically, yes, you could apply twice, but you have to wait for the answer of the previous application you have put in. And also, you can only receive a maximum of 1 grant from this from each stream if you want. So you can only receive one grant from stream 1 and 1 grant from stream 2. Also, while I'm into the limitation of each stream, actually, you have to know that for digital generator, this doesn't count towards the maximum number of applications that you can submit to the Canada Council each year. So those are not comptabilized. So, and also this grant, if you receive a grant, doesn't count towards the number of project grant needed to be eligible for Canada Council core or composite grant.
Yeah, so they're exempted from those sort of limitations and kind of operating separately, which is good. Okay, so we have another question. The next question, I guess, is from a guest who's asking us simply, how will proposals be evaluated and by who? Let me give that a shot. So that's a general enough question, but definitely I think worth going over the basics on. So for both generator stream 1, generator stream 2, we'll be having, it'll be a peer evaluator. So it'll be an internal assessment. It'll be conducted internally with experts within the Canada Council for the Arts. And for Greenhouse, so far that is also likely, but there may also be external expertise brought in where relevant. But there will be internal peer assessment groups. And how will they be evaluated? So I think that actually leads to my point in the introduction about referring to our assessment criteria that we have available on the 2 web pages. We have some information there about relevance, impact, and feasibility. Because they differ according to stream 1 and 2, and also for Greenhouse, it's best to look at the particulars for the initiative you're interested in and the stream you're interested, and you'll see really what we mean by impact, feasibility, and relevance for each of those.
Yeah, and if I can add on this, it's really important that when you write your application, please try to be as close as you can with the criteria, because the criteria for each initiative, either stream 1, stream 2, or the Greenhouse, is really the base of the assessment committee. Like we always refer to the criteria. And the criteria, for example, for relevance for a Greenhouse would be that the project develops support sector-wide and cross-sector collaboration, partnership, and things like that. So that's only one of the criterion of the impact for the Greenhouse. Of course, there are also relevance and feasibility. Relevance, for example, would be like the project proposed innovative solution that clearly identify the challenges, the gap, and the objective related to the digital world. And feasibility is feasibility, like who are the implementation team? Do they have the expertise? The budget is reasonable, etc. So that's it.
Yep, absolutely. Do you want to get the next question, Mark?
Yep. Can you provide more specific example of eligible and ineligible activity for each? Yeah, again, I'm going to refer you to the guidelines, because we are presenting a lot of activities that are not eligible or eligible. Like I mentioned, for example, the creation of a website, for an individual or corporation or organization only for their own benefit, that's clearly not eligible. But if it's for the benefit of a larger community, then it might be eligible. It depends on the general objective, So you really have to stick with that. And also, like I said, there's many examples in the guidelines. I would just refer you to the guidelines, because this is really totally clear. Again, we really encourage you to send us an email. Like if you have a project, send us an email with a brief description and some question you can have if it's really specific, and we'll be really glad to answer either by email, and sometimes we can also propose a meeting, like to discuss it.
Absolutely. Otherwise, we just risk confusing others more if we jump into the really details, nitty-gritty of each stream and Greenhouse. We are looking at 2 initiatives and 1 with 2 streams, so it can get quite detailed. Okay, so I'll jump to the next question from Phoenix. Can you? Okay, so I think she has a couple of. Phoenix has a couple of questions here, 3. So the first one is, can you apply for both Digital Greenhouse and Sector Innovation and Development grants? Collaborative funding, i.e. if overall budget is over 150,000, can we composite the 2 grants together?
Well, actually, this is a good question, because technically in the guideline is saying that you cannot apply for none of these initiatives for activities that are already been supported by Canada Council. In your case, if you would say that this activity is not covered by this other grant, then yeah, technically you could apply. But this is clear also that with SID, if they cover 100%, that's okay. But if you have to bring more money with SID for whatever reason, then you could not use the grant from the digital generator or digital greenhouse to add to the SID, to top up. That's it.
Yeah.
Second question, American partnership are okay? Is there a limit or cap on Canada versus US partnership participant? Actually, it's okay. no problem there. But Canada Council is there to support the art sector in Canada. So of course, if you present a project that is benefiting mostly American or USA community, that will not be well necessarily seen by the assessment committee. So be careful about that. You really have to justify and mention that this is for the Canadian community.
Absolutely. And the third part of the question, or the third separate question is integrating a podcast as a digital cross-sectoral knowledge-sharing platform for the project an eligible activity?
Well, if it's for knowledge sharing, yes, of course, you can. It could be supported, but again, you will have to justify it, clearly.
Yeah. And then regarding the definition, again, refer you to the profiles document. We have another question about whether evaluation and knowledge sharing is about the art or digital technology. I'm not quite sure I understand that question.
Yeah, I'm not sure neither. Evaluation and knowledge sharing is about the art or digital technology. I'm not so sure to which angle to take this one. So
I understand a little bit.
You understand it? You're sure?
I think well, I'm not sure, but I'm going to offer a response. So knowledge sharing I think in the context of the examples we provided, and we referred to knowledge sharing was about knowledge sharing as part of the project. So within utilizing the digital technology. So less about the art, because that's more like art and creation, and our projects aren't really about that, and more about the digital tools and the plan and the digital strategy. So I think if I understand a little bit what you mean, it should be focused more on digital technology, and using digital technology to leverage digital technology for knowledge sharing. So I think I'm going to offer that response, but if you'd like to clarify in the comments, jump in, guest.
Yeah, I would invite you actually to send us an email with this question, because it can be taken for so many angles. So again, Mendy is asking a question about the definition of profile. So, but just one thing, cultural carrier is referring to Indigenous, Inuit, and Métis individuals, that are passing knowledge. But I mean, there's a way better definition in the document you will be posted.
Yeah.
That will be posted. Greenhouse, can you clarify what is meant by to address broader strategical digital needs and opportunity for artists? I have read the web page. Okay, I think you answered this one actually. That's the one you started it. Started with. Okay, that's good. Now we found it. So Ben is asking, is it possible to apply for Stream 2 of Digital Generator without having an external assessment done? What if you have the expertise and understanding internally and just need the funding to execute on the solution? Well,
no.
Go ahead.
Yeah, we're really quite clear on that point that we do ask you and invite you to engage an external service provider, an external consultant, external firm to help you in formulating that need or conducting that assessment, because you'll also be required to provide that actual assessment in order to qualify as well for Stream 2 if you did want to apply. So you can't apply for Stream 2, unfortunately, even if you have that expertise internally. We do ask you to call on some external support to help you provide that official document to us.
Okay, next question. How long will it take for Canada Council to assess a proposal? Really simple. For Stream 1 of Digital Generator, normally answer should be sent in 3 months. For Stream 2, it's going to be 4 months, and for Digital Generator, for the Digital Greenhouse, it's going to be 3 months.
Yeah. So yeah. All right. So then we have another question from Candice Reason saying the toolkits seem geared towards organizations, not artists. Is there a toolkit for artists in context of the Greenhouse grant?
Good question and good proposal. Actually, the toolkit was really directed towards digital generator. But it's a good comment. We'll consider it, because right now we didn't produce any toolkit for the Greenhouse itself. So thanks for that.
Right. Thank you. And then we have a question from Laura. Do you want to ask that question out loud? I'm not gonna.
Sure. Can you please define arts, organization, and collective as well as full scope of digital?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think I'll start with the second half of that question. We haven't actually uploaded yet, but we're planning on uploading. If I'm able to say that a sort of a more comprehensive definition of what we mean by digital. I think it's a heavy packed term, and if you want to understand it in the context of your project, it's best to look at the specific initiative or program you're interested in and seeing how and what digital entails in that specific initiative. I would suggest to do that. And in terms of the definitions for arts organizations and collectives, we have a handy tool actually on the Canada Council portal. And you can use that portal. It's accessibility sort of tool. And if you I'm gonna pop a link into the chat as well. If you do that, then you're able to actually generate definitions as you go along, including of organizations and collectives. So I'm gonna pop that in for others as it might be useful. I don't have it readily available on hand. We'll do that.
Thank you for that. The other question is a link to the digital toolkits. Toolkits are there. Thank you, Sanya. After that, how long should Melinda is asking, how long should the project take? Actually, we're talking about short-term project naturally with the nature of and the support we can give and you can access. So it's kind of short-term. So short-term can vary between 6 months and a year, those kind of things. You're not going to be really like, you really have to justify in the application the timeline of your project, clearly. But keep in mind that it's for short-term project. For example, if you propose a project that will span like the next 3 years, well, this is maybe not the right place to apply. Okay.
Yep. Okay. Just popping. I popped the link in the meantime just to share with the audience. It's in the chat if you'd like to take a look at the eligibility tool. It's really handy. I invite you to take a look and just kind of put in your information and understand a little bit about how we look at different applicant types and how we define them. It could be really useful.
Next question, and you might want to answer this one, Daniela. So from Sarah. Could the development of an audiobook strategy be part of our overall digital strategy?
Sorry, I'm just having a hard time getting back up there now that I've scrolled all the way to the bottom.
Fine.
Just bear with me.
That's fine. So I'm going to repeat the question. Sarah is asking, could the development of an audiobook strategy be part of our overall digital strategy? If it's justified, yes. That being said, depends where you apply, because content creation because that would be considered as content creation, creation of the audiobook. That's not really eligible for a digital generator, but it could be for the greenhouse. So, and you have to justify why you need to do that, how it's an important part of the digital strategy that you're proposing.
Yeah.
What do you mean by short-term project? Well, like I mentioned, short-term project generally between 6 and 1 year. And from there, I guess, some longer project could be supported, but you need to justify the timeline.
Yep. Next question we have is from guest, are international collaborators okay? And this is for Greenhouse in particular, and this has popped up. So yes, I think as Mark mentioned before, it's no problem to have international partners or collaborators as long as the main focus and the main beneficiaries of the project that you're proposing are Canadians. That's the main sort of focus, and what we encourage is for the Canadian public to be really the main focus of the project itself.
So thank you, Daniela. So Anastasia is asking, will these two funds be open only for a limited amount of time until all the funding is allocated, or would it be a long-term initiative? Thank you so much. Well, thank you too for the question. This is a good question, actually. Actually, those two initiatives are part of the new strategic plan of the Canada Council for the Arts. So they are there to really like help you for a certain time. Right now, how long will they be available? It's not even clear for us because we want to see how it's received by the community. How can we improve them or propose something else that will better help? So I mean, we are learning with you on this one. We think that it will serve really well the community, but we will monitor it and maybe modify some of the aspects of those initiatives. So don't worry, there's money. You can apply, and it's going to be there for a certain time. And if we ever change something, it's going to be announced way in advance. So don't worry too much about this. It's going to be there for a certain time.
Yep.
In the framework of the strat plans.
Yeah, exactly. That goes until 2026. Yeah. Okay, so we have another question from Anastasia Stadova, who asks, will these two, no, we responded that. Nicole Fletcher. Nicole Fletcher asked us, do provincial governmental bodies qualify as a collaborator for the digital generator?
No. This is clear, simple. I mean, yeah. Provincial government body don't qualify for that. I mean, we're really open, flexible for partnership, clearly, but it's got to benefit mainly the art sector, the collective, the independent one, and the one that are also answering the profile from Canada Council. So yeah, that's it. I think it's a clear answer.
Yep.
Can one organization apply to the digital generator for both streams, for two different projects, one to each stream? I think we answered this question before. Short answer is yes. There's some limitation. I would invite you to go see the guidelines. We talked about it just before.
Okay, it looks like we have a time for maybe another answer or two, another two questions.
Yeah, time is flying.
Yeah, time is ticking, so we'll wrap up in the next couple of minutes, but we'll get the next one here from Victoria. She says, in the impacts section, it says knowledge and results are shared with the community in relevant and appropriate ways. What do you mean by relevant and appropriate? Can you give an example?
Okay, yeah, easy to answer. Actually, appropriate way will be the one that you determine with the nature of the project you're proposing. So, for example, you could decide to do a blog, directly on your website. You could decide to do some. We saw in the past, an organization proposed like open house or symposia or little thing, like a conference, presenting the project. It could also be some article that you propose to some magazine. It could also be a joint event that you do with your collaborator to like we just do now, a webinar. That could be also example. So we don't ask for a specific format. It's you that should decide which format suits your project.
Absolutely. All right. We discussed already the eligibility of Paso Naso question. The next one is, will CCA provide lists of proven service providers or service providers who at least have been part of successful DSF projects? So no, we won't be providing lists of service providers. We're really calling on the applicants to engage an external service provider. At the time of applying, we don't necessarily need the name of that service provider, which is an information about how you plan to identify a service provider if your project grant is approved. So
yeah, that's it. This is not the role of Canada Council to provide a list of possible service provider, and also we'll refer you to the digital tools that we put up to how to engage with the service provider, etc., etc.
Okay, last one.
Okay, yeah, sure. Go ahead.
All right. So we have another question from Andrew Singh, who asks, should we not include GST in our budget for these programs like DSF asked us to?
Yeah, exactly. You cannot put GST on any taxes, in your budget. Taxes are not eligible costs for any actually activity in the Canada Council,
Yep.
not for just for DSF, but all the others as well.
Yep. And you'll see also, if you'd like to consult the preview budgets on the two web pages, you can also see in the actual budget Excel document that opens up that it differentiates, and it makes it very clear that the DST portion should not be included.
Maybe a small last one, which is I think important as well, asked by Catherine. Our support organization is eligible to the digital generator stream. Support organization, maybe you mean supported at core organization. I'm going to take it as such. So yes, they are eligible. You know, all organizations that have a validated profile on a website, on a portal, are eligible to the digital generator stream. Not stream, digital generator to stream,
Initiative,
or
right?
even the greenhouse.
Absolutely. So organizations and groups are eligible. Yeah. Do we
So
have?
I think, yeah, maybe a last one or two last one. We're going to stretch it a little bit.
Yeah. Just to mention as well with the question regarding the accredited consultancy provider. So we spoke to that question, just saying that we don't provide that list for project applicants. However, we maintain lists and networks that in case we require external expertise at any point to bring in for the assessment process. And maybe one last one, Marc, or?
Yeah. What is the total budget assigned for both generator and greenhouse? Actually, there's no budget assigned. I mean, you all know maybe that Canada Council has received supplement and for special support of the art sector, the recovery, etc. So we didn't assign a special budget for these two. You know, like as I mentioned before, we will monitor the request. We will monitor also what can we support, etc. And we cannot even mention or say right now the success rate neither, because it's starting. So we're gonna go as we go right now. Of course, we have budget, but it's not been defined for these ones. And also, those are the first two initiatives. So there's going to be more initiative that will chain up with these two, you know, in the future to answer the commitment that are written in the strat plans of the Canada Council. So don't hesitate to apply. Actually, you know, like. Yep. And if your project is really important for the community, for yourself, for your organization, then you have a good chance to be supported.
Absolutely. So again, just don't hesitate to check back and see updates as we continue to implement the new strategic plan and see what kind of initiatives come out of that. It's going to be exciting to keep an eye on, and probably more initiatives of interest for others in the future. So thank you so much as well for Max. Did you want to add any comments?
Because we could not answer all the questions. Of course, with more than 100 attendees to this webinar or session, clearly we cannot answer all the questions. But please send us emails. Don't hesitate and look at the guidelines clearly, and look at the assessment criteria, which is the base of all decision from the assessment committee, and send us email. And if you have a project already or an idea of a project, send us like a 1 or 2 paragraph maximum. Don't send us pages, because we will not be able to read all this, but just in the core of the email, send us a brief description and the question you have, or that we never answered to this session. And that we have other sessions that are coming up, so you can RSVP for the next session as well. So thank you all. It was we broke the ice, and this was a first. Really thank all of you.
Yes, thank you so much for making it, and we look forward to communicating with you and hearing from you via email. Stay in touch, and thanks so much for your time. We really appreciated discussing this with you today. Have a great rest of the day or afternoon. Take care.
Bye. Take care.